Hello everyone. We're going live in 20 seconds. I've already got someone on Twitch telling me to dance. Yeah, not gonna happen. Right, let us. There we go. How are we, everyone? I've not got a chair because I've tucked it under my seat, but hope you're all doing well. Hello everyone on TikTok. Thank you for joining. Hello everyone on Twitch. Hello everyone on YouTube. I'm just live everywhere today. Right, today we are going to be carry on working on this painting. This is, and I'll show you the better camera in a minute. This is our vulture. This is Harold the Vulture for the Eagle Heights Animal Sanctuary. So it's a commission that we've got. So let me switch this over to this one here. There we go. So you can see where we've got to so far. We've done our underpainting. We've put in some colour values. And that's pretty much it. So that's where we're going to be working from today. I've got nothing set up yet. So let's start by doing that, shall we? First things first, I have my iPad. This is where I've got all my reference images. So I'm going to pop that up the back here. So I can see that nice and easily as I need it. Right, I also need my palette, of course. I need some paints and brushes. Got all of my brushes around. Today we're going to be doing a couple of things. We're going to be doing a little bit of glazing. So I need glazing liquid. Here we go. So this allows you to lay over colours and textures nice and easily. Oh, thank you for the gifts over on TikTok. Thank you, Psychic Medium. You must have known what I was looking for and sent it to me. So thank you very much. I will kind of talk through what we're doing as we're going along. But yeah, I need this glazing liquid out. So let's pop that up the back as well. What else do I need? I need to get my water bucket sorted. There we are. We pop this at the back. So this, just to show you, it's got several little sections inside. This means that we can clean brushes, activate paints, all of that kind of stuff without contaminating the other colours that we've got. So very important when you're using any kind of paint, not just acrylics, it could be oils, watercolours, gouache, whatever it is. Make sure you've got multiple sources of water, or in the case of oils, turpentine or whatever it is you're using to thin your paints and clean your brushes. Must have plenty of that on hand. Gives a nice clean painting that way. You don't end up with muddy colours. I'll tell you what I've been up to today while we're getting set up. I don't know how much of this I can actually say. More gifts on TikTok. Thank you very much appreciated. Don't forget to keep tapping that like. The more you tap it, the more people are going to come and join us and join in the chat. So I don't know how much I can actually say to you guys, but story time. I was in Birmingham today, or south of Birmingham today. What's this? I paint with acrylics on canvas, but nothing spectacular. Oh, thank you, that's very kind. I'd show you some of my other paintings, but I literally yesterday took them down to what is going to be my new gallery display. Again, another sneak peek I can give you. Chester City Centre, I have a display going up. It's an exclusive space just for my paintings, and proceeds from any sales there, 10% is going towards Chester Pride to help the charity there, which is super impressive and important that I'm able to do that and to help that charity. But as in terms of as spectacular as mine. Yeah, I mean, this is just the underpainting. I work very quickly, I work very loosely, and I've been doing this for a very long time. I always say to people, if you paint or if you want to get better at painting, do other creative things. Don't just stick to painting. Do drawing, do drafting, do needlepoint, for instance. Do different things, because when you feed creativity, whatever that creativity is, it feeds into every other type of creative thing that you do. Creativity as a whole is like this beast that you can feed in so many different ways. I think people get bogged down in doing, I'm a painter, so I'm going to paint. And I think when you start doing that, you can get lost in, oh, I'm just doing this and I don't know where I'm going. And it can get a little bit mushy around the edges, let's say that. So yeah, if you're a creative, go create. Do creative things. Don't just stick to the one thing. But yeah, today was in Birmingham recording a podcast, which should be going live on Monday, talking about creativity, talking about mental health, talking about disability, all sorts of different things, talking about my business and what I do, and lots of different crafts. I also got a lovely gift from the people that I did the episode with, which I will do an unboxing and review on my YouTube channel very soon. I've got other YouTube videos I really need to do. I'm behind on them. Life has got in the way. Having a 19-month-old child is, yeah, it's no easy task. In fact, I got home today, I dressed nicely for the podcast. I got home today and I was like, yeah, jogging bottoms, old t-shirt, apron, this is me. This is more comfortably me. I think, now that we've got our underpainting in, I want to start going in and starting to define some of the details in here. So this is where we can take the iPad, start pinching in and picking out certain points that we want to do. So just to show you, if you missed the last stream, and on the iPad, there are a few things that I like to do when I'm making a new artwork. So, I always use reference images. And these are reference images that were given to me directly from the zoo. So I create the canvas first of all. I take a picture, then I take the original image, I put it on, and I drop the opacity down massively, and then use this as my reference for a little clearer placement. I've got this whole new episode of how to block paintings onto a canvas. It was a technique that was recently shown on TikTok, actually, good old TikTok, and it has been amazing, game-changing. So I'm going to do an episode of that on YouTube where we do a deep dive into why that technique works. What I then do is I take the reference image, there we go, and I create a blurred version of that so I can see the overall composition. I then really oversaturate the original picture so I can see all of the underlying colours that are hidden in the picture, and then I do a posterize so I can see very large basic shapes. So we've already gone through most of the stages of this. We've done the posterizing where we've got our base colours or our base shades in. We've then gone in with the oversaturation, putting some colours in. We've got some neon pink here, we've got some neon orange in the eyes, green in the beak. All of these things are things that you're not necessarily going to see when the painting is finished, but the hue of that underpainting is going to shine through. It's going to give a little bit extra life to what you've got there rather than a single flat colour. Now what I'm going to do is go back to one of the original reference images, and I'm going to zoom in to specific points and start working on them. So I think I really need to ground this painting. I think the best way to do that is to look at the feet. So I'm going to use this as a reference image over here. Another top tip, if you're using reference images, don't have them directly next to what you are doing. Have it away so that you are referencing it, not copying it. There's a big difference between referencing and copying. So I've got it over here. I can see this fairly clearly, but I'm working over here. There's a big disconnect in my brain from what's happening over here and what's happening here, and that's just going to allow me to do a little bit of interpretation in the actual painting. Now colours for this are pretty muted, so I'm going to go, let's see, I put most of my paints away now, let's have a look in here. I'm going to go for a raw umber, because that has got lovely grey tones in it as well. These are Liquitex basic acrylics, which have got amazing light fastness, so I'm going to be using these today. So I'm going to start with the raw umber. I will then use some neutral grey in that, just to tone it a mid-tone. and then we'll add a little bit of white, a little bit of black to add some more details into that. Now that we're starting to get smaller, we're not going to be using the great big brushes that we were before. They're going to start going down, and I think for this I might, oh no, not a fan brush, definitely don't want that. I think I'm going to start with a round brush, small round brush like this. Is that, even that might be a little bit too small. Let's go one size up. So we've got two different round brushes. I'll start with these, then we can start going in and we can do some line work and some squares and all sorts. We'll mix it up as we go along. Right, now that we've got that all described, we've got everything set up. Whew, let me have a drink of my tea. I've got a cup of tea over here. Master Simon, sir, thank you for the follow. Very, very much appreciated. Let me just give this a little click here and try and pop my TikTok chat out so I can see it a little bit clearer. That's not as clear. Okay, that'll do. That'll have to do. That's fine. I'm going to pull this out. I'm playing around with settings now. Ah, there we go. Much, much better. More roses. Thank you very much. I love, love, love roses. One of my favourite flowers. Roses and orchids. Is there an orchid gift? I'm going to have to look through what the gifts are on TikTok. If there's not, I might have to create an orchid gift because they're one of my favourite plants. Right. Let's start, shall we? We're already, what are we, 15 minutes into the stream, and I have just been yammering on about what we're going to do rather than actually doing. I like to use these paper palettes because you can really spread the paint out across them, see what you've been using, and you can get a few of them on the go. I'm going to tear out some of these old ones. There we go, give myself a bit of working space. Let's throw this away. This is my new studio, by the way, that we're in now. I was working originally in a single box bedroom, and now I've got this. What's your favourite colour rose? Oh, that's a difficult one. There's one which it's a very, very dark red in the centre, and as it splays out it goes quite pink. It's really, really pretty. You can sometimes get it with little yellow flecks on the edges as well. I'm all about variegation and multicoloured flowers. I love the orchids I have. I rescue all of my orchids from like Tesco's in the supermarket. Wherever they're being sold dirt cheap, I pick them up and rescue them. Actually, most of my houseplants. And yeah, I tend to grow them just in water these days, and they do amazingly well just in water, obviously with a bit of orchid food in them. I posted about that on someone else's TikTok about 6 months ago, and I still every day get people liking that comment. It's so weird. If only it was one of my comments, one of my own videos where people were giving that much attention. Wouldn't that be a dream? Right, I'm going to bring my water down here under my easel, grab my paintbrushes, grab my brushes, and we'll use, I need to tilt that down a little bit so I can actually see it. It's quite difficult to use this reference because it's an older image of this vulture, so it's a little bit blurry. Oh, thank you for the share. Thank you very much. Ooh, this has dropped down as well. Let's just pop that up. There we go. I desperately need a new easel. I have been subtly hinting to Meaden, the art company. So on my YouTube channel, I review art supplies. It's one of the things that I do on there. And I've reviewed something of Meaden before, and it was okay. It wasn't bad. Their easels are apparently fantastic. And I have been hinting to them in our private chats about, you know, reviewing stuff and just saying, it would be lovely if you sent me this easel. You know, I could really do with a new easel for the new studio. Wouldn't it be lovely if every time Someone logged onto one of my videos. They saw your and yeah, they just haven't taken the really not subtle hints that I really want one of their easels. Right, I'm going to use just a touch of water for this. We want to keep it quite thick without destroying any of the tones underneath. But because we haven't done very much detail work, it means that actually we can get away with quite a lot. And this is quite close to the colour that we've already got on there, so we will definitely need that mid grey. So how is everyone doing today? You all having a lovely time? Tell me what you've all been up to, because it's one of the things that people find most difficult about art, and I'm no exception, is the isolation sometimes when you're working. Sometimes I really like it. Sometimes I would just be out here for hours and not worry about not talking to people and not seeing anyone, and it is gorgeous. It's so lovely. Other times I actually want to chat to people. Not often, but you know, sometimes. The fluff on this leg actually comes down much lower than you expect. There we go, that looks like a better shape on that claw. So this is interesting because we've got two claws that come down on these talons and one which is facing directly towards us. I've gone a little bit low on there, but I can touch it up later. And then we've got one that tucks behind. So this is the one that's directly towards us, just here. This is the one that's down, this is the one that's off to the side. And this is the one that's tucked behind. There's a lot of really gnarly details in here that we will get to. I love zoning out and being creative. Absolutely. It's really nice. So I have been, when I've been live streaming, I've been playing some royalty-free music on TikTok. On Spotify, rather. Because, you know, TikTok and Twitch, it's all fine. YouTube, it's usually fine as well. But the last video that I posted, for some reason, even though it's copyright-free music, had 8 copyright strikes. 8 I will say that again. 8 copyright strikes for copyright-free music on Spotify. The annoying thing was, 2 of the strikes were for the same song, but from 2 completely different sources. There are so many scammers out there trying to claim that music is theirs on videos when it absolutely is not. And for live streams, it's just an absolute minefield. So I'm not doing music today while I get that sorted out. I appealed against all 8 copyright strikes, and they came back to me and said, no, it's been upheld. And I don't see how, because they can't have provided proof that the song belonged to them, because it didn't belong. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I always have Alexa on with Amazon Music playlists. Yeah, and so I have Spotify just because it's easy to patch into my computer because I'm streaming from my PC. But even then, on YouTube, copyright strikes if you're streaming from Alexa, because they're gonna be people's songs. They're gonna be actual artists out there, and it's just I don't know. It's a fickle beast. Is YouTube. So you said you like zoning out and doing your crafts. What are your, or being creative rather, what's your creative outlet? What are the crafts that you like to do? I'm taking some liberties with these claws down here now. And this leg, we've actually got about here, like a knuckly piece. There we go. Lovely, brilliant. Yeah, psychic medium. What are your go-to creative outlets? So I actually have quite a few. I'm this is what I was talking about on the podcast today. I've soft launched doing creative sessions with disadvantaged people, so either the elderly or people with additional needs, going back to my education roots. And I'm doing so many different types of crafts because there's such a variety. So knitting, crochet, drawing, painting, just clay, anything and everything. Anything that's there, I'm pretty much doing it. I channel painting, drawing, writing, whatever comes up. Channel. So, as a medium, are you channeling? Are you spiritually channeling things that you then paint? Genuine question, by the way. I turn milk cartons into planters too. Yes, spiritually channeling. So, okay, we're going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, and I nearly just painted the back of my head here. This is not something I talk about very often. There's only a few people actually in my life that know this at all. I've also studied mediumship. My great grandmother was a German Jewish refugee in World War II. She escaped the Holocaust. Unfortunately, most of her family did not. But she came to the UK. She kind of renounced Judaism, but still had a very strong Kabbalistic inclination. And she was noted as one of the UK's premium psychics in the 1950s London Psychic Journal. And she used to hold seances and all this kind of stuff. Now, interestingly, this is on my mum's side of the family. On my dad's side of the family, there's also some psychicness, some gifts. And my dad is a medium as well. Naturally, again, he doesn't really talk about it. I've been a practicing pagan I'm 41 now, and I was 13, so I'll let you work out the maths. Yeah, and when I was very young, I remember my dad picking me up from school, and the school had contacted my dad, and I was about 5, 6, and the school said, Sean's still got imaginary friends, and we feel that it could be emotionally detrimental, and maybe you should have a chat with him. So my dad, who is not, the most, what's the word I'm looking for, subtle of people, picked me up from school and he went, look, I've had a call from the school, very broad North London accent. I've had a call from the school. They're talking about these imaginary friends that you've got. They ain't imaginary friends, they're dead people, because I can see them as well. And it absolutely scared the life out of me. And as a psychic medium, fear is the great barrier to seeing anything. And it terrified me. And I didn't see anything again. I had lots of experience before that. And then I had nothing after that until I was 13. And we were on a family holiday in Swanage. And I woke up in the middle of the night and there was someone standing at the side of the bunk bed. And I could just see their head and their shoulders peering at me. And I knew they were looking at me. And as I kind of backed away from them, a hand came up like they were going to hit me. And I turned around and just hid myself in the pillow, like scrunched my face in the pillow. And we were in sleeping bags because it was like a rented place. Someone started to pull the sleeping bag off the end of the bed. So I rolled and rolled and rolled up like a sausage. And just going, ah! We're all sharing this one big room. And my mum and dad both woke up and saw someone run out of the room. My dad chased the person into the living room. It was literally one bedroom and then a living room with a little kitchen in it. Chased them into the living room. There was no one there. Turned on the lights, there was no one there. No one could have got in, no one could have got out. And that was like the start of me starting to see things again. And my nan, my great grandmother at that age, Nanny Rose, she started teaching me. She started to teach me how to connect and how to see things and how to experience things. And she passed away when I was like 18. One of the biggest losses of my life. But I've kind of carried on since, and I've had lots of experiences over the years. But I've never thought of doing any kind of channeling into artwork. So I'd be interested to find out how you kind of started with that, how that all came around. Sorry, I know you've typed a message as well, and I'm twittering on, and I've not acknowledged it. Let's have a look. Yes, my mum thought I had a murdering friends until she witnessed firsthand something. Yeah. Yeah, so I grew up in a haunted house, and my parents, when they first met, my mum was living in a haunted house, and I grew up in Enfield, which is, you know, the Enfield haunting. I actually have been in the house next door. My first boyfriend, his grandparents were the Nottinghams, who lived next door. Oh, thank you very much, Connor. Yeah, I'm doing really well. This is the underpainting for my Vulture commission that's going to Eagle Heights. Conjuring 2's your favourite. Okay, I've got to show you something. So this is a painting that is technically for sale. She's been living in a cupboard upstairs for over a year because my husband is terrified of her. And I can't really put her up for sale online because, again, she's quite scary. So she's expensive as well. She's like £900. But okay, are you ready? Ugh. There we go. This is my Valak painting, and the thing that makes her stand out is the eyes are painted with a slight neon in the underside. So if you shadow the eyes, they look like they're staring at you even more. The whole painting is finished with a matte gloss, a matte varnish, except for the eyes. So you can see the eyes catch the light. So in certain lights, she's absolutely terrifying. But yeah, she's become my work bestie. She's in my studio now, and she's just on the wall because people are either terrified by her or intrigued by her, but neither of those things equate to a sale, which is annoying. But hey, she lives here now. Thank you. If you wanna, give me a message. Yeah, so we're just working on this at the moment. We were just talking about ghosts, but I was just explaining that I've toned the canvas a few days ago. We did a very quick underpainting sketch. Then I did just blocking in some colours and values. I've let that dry, and now we're starting to hone in on some of the details. So I'm just working on the feet at the moment because that will help ground the whole picture, and we can build up from there. If I started, for instance, with the body, we'd work down, we'd get to the legs, we'd paint all of this fluff up here, then we'd get to the feet, and it's you have to think about order of operation when you're doing this kind of thing. So that's what we're doing. I've just gone in with some raw umber. I'm now going to go in with a little bit of neutral grey whilst it's wet, and try and work up some of these values, get it looking a little bit more like the reference picture without actually copying the reference picture. So thank you very much, Connor. What are you up to this evening? I know you've had a stressful day, so hopefully you're, I don't know, chilling out with a glass of wine or something. Hopefully, anyway, hopefully. I should probably have a glass of wine. I've got tea instead. I have got my reference image up here on my iPad, which keeps cutting out. The camera's not covered. What are you talking about? There we go. And yeah, Connor, if you want to throw any gifts my way, feel absolutely free. I've been getting lots of roses today, which is very nice. From a psychic medium, no less. Psychic medium artist, that's what we were talking about before you popped in. Okay, right. Looking at the light source, let's start to define some of these things. So we've got a little bit of claw down here, and I'm not really wetting this paint. I'm using it quite loose. You need to set your gift goals. I'll reset your gift goals. So the issue is, I'm doing this on my computer, and I don't know whether I'm able to do that on my phone. Let's have a look. Now if I type settings, No, no, no. Services, Jules, Live Centre, promote, campaigns. Is it campaigns? Is that it? No, it's not that, is it? No. Oh, dear. What I need to do is do some of these where I'm just using TikTok. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I think what I need to do in the future is do a TikTok completely separate from this, or use a restream service. I haven't quite worked it out yet. Edit your live goals. Okay, hold on. Right. So at the moment it says Flame Hearts 9. Okay, I can change it here. Let's go to, what should I change it to? What do you think? You know what, that white rose is gorgeous. Let's do, how many should I do? 20? 20 white roses, there we go, confirm. Confirm. Has that worked? Did that work? I'm sure you said this, but is that burnt sienna underpainting? I can never trust my screen. I think it's raw sienna, actually. Let me just check. No, you're right. Yes, it is burnt sienna underdrawing. So it's just a cheap one as well. It's got really good light fastness, but it is a really cheap paint. But yeah, thank you. That was from T-Mac on YouTube. Yes, the underpainting, where we've already layered some colours in as well, so there's some yellows and greens and a few neons in here as well. I know what you mean about screens. They never quite come up right, do they? It's never quite the same colour. No matter how much calibration you do, unless you've got studio cameras, which I was under studio cameras today for the podcast, they just don't come out right. It's really, really bizarre. Oh, I've now got paint on my hands. That wasn't very clever. This is why we have aprons. Right, let's start. Quite a big shape here. That's there, like that. Quite a defined line, and then there we go. Can you see how that foot is starting to come alive without really very much detail? So I do this thing. If you're a painter, you'll probably know this, although not many people express it quite the same way. Oh, thank you very much for the 10 white roses. It's very, very kind. Yeah, the illusion of detail. So not actual detail, the illusion of detail. It's amazing how much you can get away with without painting every single hair, every single scale, every single whatever it is on whatever it is you're painting. People tend to have this thing of, oh, I need to do everything. I need to make it picture. No. That's where the artistic bit comes in. Putting your own stamp on it, actually doing you, that is art, my friends. You don't have to paint every single tiny thing. Okay, this is an interesting one. There's a bit of branch in the reference, and I'm not going to put it in here. So we're going to be relying a little bit more on intuition. So I am a wildlife painter, but as you can see from my valet painting, it's not just wildlife that I do. I do lots of different things. I paint, but I'm not an artist. I just put the paint on the brush and hope for the best. Okay, right. Stop right there. I have had this discussion so many times recently. I don't know what's going on with the world. this is a realization that I have come to within the last 18 months, I would say. I have been making art in one way or another for a couple of decades. I used to be a musical theatre actor. I've played piano since I was 5 years old. I've been a singing teacher. You know, I taught Reggae Gene Page, for God's sake, how to sing. And he's got an amazing voice, by the way. He used to have a prog rock band when he was in his teens that I used to go and watch quite a lot. I have been doing painting for years. I've only started selling paintings in the last few years, but I've been on YouTube for like 4 years doing painting and other stuff. I have only in the last 18 months had the courage to say I am an artist. And it's been so much down to imposter syndrome, feeling like I'm not good enough to call myself an artist. And it is absolute rubbish. If you create art of any kind, whether it's painting, drawing, sculpting, jewellery, knitting, whatever your artwork is, if you have created it, you are an artist. And I'm just going to say that. You're an artist. So claim it, be proud of it, and just tell people, yep, as well as doing this, it doesn't have to be everything you do, but as well as doing this, I am an artist. And it will make you feel so good. It really, really will. So we're still at the point of keeping this all quite loose. We don't want to go in and we don't want to overwork anything. So I'm still keeping it very, very loose. Okay. Let me see. Can you see on here? Let's have a look. Yeah, okay. Can you see the difference? The feet are starting to stand out now. They're starting to look a little bit more real, a little bit more grounded in the picture. Looking at the fluff on the legs, there's a lot of white. And I do not really want to be using white. See? Who knew? Not just an artist, not just a teacher, but an inspiration as well. I should be like a motivational speaker or something. Ah, dear. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? We have... Yes, really popped already. Yeah. And this is just the first coat of the illusion of detail. I think I'm going to go up to the beak. I want to start getting some of the face detail in. And I think the beak is a good place to start that. I'm going to use pretty much the same palette. So particularly the neutral grey. But I am going to wash this out a little bit because we're working small here. Okay. So because this is an actual vulture, I'm paying a little bit closer attention to the reference. She's got quite a short, comes up like that, that's correct. Then this line, just in, yeah, there we go. Oh, I'm not usually a fan of creating lines like this so early on in a painting, but like I said, this is an actual vulture. This is a real vulture that lives out in the world. Her name is Harold. Yeah, her name is Harold. She is, I would say, a transgendered or intersex vulture. Fact, let me see, can I zoom in a little bit tighter on, the problem is the zoom's going to go off. Let's see if I can focus this other way. There we go, that's better. Yeah, so Harold, the vulture, I've got to go, need to sleep, but it's been lovely talking to you. Have a fabulous evening. It's been lovely talking to you too. Have a lovely evening. I'll chat to you again very soon. Yes, so Harold the vulture, born male, then the vet said no, female, then a DNA test, male, then she laid an egg. So, who knows? Who actually knows? Right, let's define out the edge of the beak just here. There we go, and I can see some of that green of the under painting coming through as well. Bit just in there. I'm a big fan of finger painting. Ah, lovely. Just that little bit. And it's made that beak really, really pop. We've got a little bit around the eye as well. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of this. The eye, and then it's up here. That looks about right. And then yeah, that's good. Right, and then from here, I'm going to put this little section in and define the top of her beak. I am going to keep calling her her, even though it's kind of inconclusive. I think it's a nice way to put it. There we go. Can we see her face starting to come together a little bit more now? I'm trying to stream as much of this painting as possible, but the actual painting process, it could take a while, and sometimes you do need to just zone out and get on with it, and not be worried about what's going on in the world around you. Add a little bit of tone in here with a bit of this umber. And there we go, let's separate this out. Now the eye at the moment is looking very, in fact, let's put a bit of a pupil in just to make it look less terrifying. Lovely, okay, we're looking better. Much, much better. I'm going to have to come in and do even more of the dark tones, I think. Oh yeah, I like that. Right, under the eye here. Okay, how are we feeling about that? I'm going to really take off a lot of the paint from this and start putting in a little bit here. Again, this is just, it's underpainting at the moment. Let's take a step back, have a look. Yeah, okay, right. I'm going to take a little bit of this neutral grey and a little bit of the umber, and we're going to go over the eye. So the eye is very, very orange at the moment. We need to knock that back just a little bit. We'll continue knocking it back as we go. Now the trick with eyes, always darker on the top because of the way the light catches. This is also why we use neon. Right, let's stand back, have a look. Yeah, it's getting there, but I think the beak maybe needs to be a bit bigger. A little bit lower down. Let's correct that, shall we? So let's bring this down. bring this out and up. Yeah, I think that's looking, that's looking much nicer. It's just a small change, but small changes often have the biggest impact. Yeah, nice and squanch. We need to come down a little bit more here. A little bit more under there. There we go. We can start defining out the edge of the beak as well. Oh, there we go. Okay. Much better. You see? Yeah, there we go. We're looking good. Start unifying this a little bit more. Let's get some more of this raw umber and the neutral grey. I'm going to add a little bit of our glazing liquid. Now, this liquid means that we can add to the painting without destroying what's underneath. You'll still be able to see it through quite clearly. And just do a little dot of that on there. Pick up some of the paint that we've got, work it into the glazing liquid. Just like this. And then we can go in and start painting. So, I think we need to... Yeah, the podcast that I did today, super fun. I really hope that I get to go back and do more with the guys that I went to visit today, because it was amazing. Really, I've done a few podcasts, but this one was really fun. Really fun. Oh, that's looking nice. Let's get a little bit of this on the beak as well, particularly on the top. And in the middle, just there. And a lot down here. Nice. It's interesting, vultures, that even though you think of them being very set colours, there's a lot of variation in their tones, in the feathers. Particularly in this area just here. Try and get a little bit of, there we go. Starting to texture as well, so it's not all uniform brush strokes. Now the only issue, hello Keiko, how are you doing? The only issue with this glazing liquid is it means that everything takes quite a long time to dry, which can be a bit of a pain. But I've just learnt to live with it over the years. Let's take some more of this here, a little bit more glazing, a little bit more neutral grey. I'm going to work some of this into the neck. So the neck actually has a little bit more of it. Yeah, I have got that curve in. Let's bring this. There we go. Adding a little bit of texture. How you doing, Keiko? If you're still there, how are you? Everything okay? How was today's baking? Fruitful, I hope. Well, not fruit, cakeful. Cakeful? A cakeful day painting? It sounds weird to say, but it fits. It's the most accurate. Okay, you can see how this is starting to unify everything together without destroying the underpainting. It's starting to look a little bit more real. I still need to do a little bit more on the old face, and we will come back to that. But right now, I want to do some definition on this forward wing. Let's get a little bit of motion in here. Let's get it feeling real. Again, glazing liquid means we're not destroying what's underneath. What have you sent me? Number 1! Yeah, thanks Drew. Right, so let's start by defining the top edge of this wing. There we go. I think I'm going to need a little bit more glazing liquid in this. Maybe a touch of water. That's better. Right. So this top part of the wing comes down and it kicks back just there. Then this other part, actually quite angular. We've kind of got a little knuckly section. It's quite straight and then it comes whoosh down here. Lovely. Right. A little bit of separation of feathers just there. And then looking at the actual wing itself, we've got this section here, which is much lighter. Drew, how are you doing? Sorry I've not been on the Sumpcraft server. I've been, yeah, stupidly busy. I honestly cannot even begin to tell you how ridiculous it has been. Not all of it good. Most of it good, but not all of it. You'll notice as well we've got no music today because of stupid YouTube. Don't even get me started. Stupid YouTube. Right. How we're looking, yeah, that's getting better. That's definitely getting better. Get some of this in here. Lovely jubbly. And let's have a look over the other side. And do a similar thing for this wing. So don't really need to define the edge here. What we do need to do is add a little bit of feather sheen like that, just a little bit more in there. How are we doing? Amazing. Now I am testing a theory tonight. The theory is that if you are on TikTok streaming for more than an hour, once you get to an hour, that is when TikTok starts pushing your stream out to people who are not your followers. So I'm going to be streaming for at least an hour. We are currently on 57 minutes and 53 seconds. So we're testing. Once we get past the hour mark, let's see if we get more people dropping into the chat. To be fair, it's been a fairly good chat today. It's been nice. We've had people in and people have actually been chatting. Right. I'm going to knock back some of the neons now in this chest section. We don't need it to be that bright. It's now just acting as a distraction. So we'll knock that back with the neutral grey. And then when we come to paint over that, we'll still get a touch of that neon through, but not a huge amount. Right, I feel like now I need to do a little bit more on the face. So I'm going to zoom right in on here and let's start thinking about the colours that we've got. So we have got that, but I need a little bit of black as well. This is where we get into dangerous territory using black. Black paint is so incredibly overpowering that you really do want to use it quite sparingly. Now, ordinarily, I would maybe use a blue or a purple to tone, but because we are still in underpainting territory, I don't mind using just the smallest amount of black to define some of these much darker areas. And I think on the face at this point I really do need to get in there. Is this the smallest brush that I had out? It must be. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Right, let's have a look at this. So we've got the line of the beak, so we've got this little section in here. And then this little mark just there again, because this is an actual vulture, an actual real life living creature. I am paying super detail to the likeness on this. I want it to be not accurate in terms of every single feather, but I want the likeness to be there. I want it to be recognizable as this particular bird. As I said, this is Harold the Vulture. Right, let's have a little look at this eye. Yeah, there we go, that's what it needs. It needs that darkness around the eye. We've got this little section just there. And around here as well. Okay, this is, oh, that's much better. That already looks heaps better. Let me just come away so you can see it. Let me stand back. Let's have a look. Yes, there we go. That's it. That's what we wanted. Much nicer. Right. Are there any other areas? Actually, there are. Let's go back down to the feet. The feet are dry now, so it's time for me to add in a little bit more detail and start blending in some of these shapes that we put in. Let me zoom out just a tad because we're cutting the feet off. There we go. Right. So we've now been live for an hour. Let the experiment on TikTok begin. Right, I'm going to take this dark colour. Again, it is raw umber with the tiniest amount of black. Now, I'm going to start just building in a little bit more contrast. And this brush is quite wet. Let's dry that off. There we go. Sometimes when you're painting, it can feel like your paint is too loose. Quite often, it's actually the brush. You've picked up way too much water, or yeah, there we go. Yeah, way too much water. You've saturated your bristles, and then it bleeds out into the actual paint itself. We do not want that. So if you're starting to have that issue, best thing to do usually is just dry your brush. That should help out enormously. Okay. Yeah, we've got this little bit up here. Start to get those claws blocked in as well. Okay, I'm liking what I'm putting down. It's working. These feet are so incredibly creased that I can afford to come in and start adding in shadow on top of what I've already put down here on these feet. I'm hoping that with these feet we'll be in a position where we won't have to do so much detail work on them with a small brush. That we'll be able to get away with leaving them a little bit looser. This one's a little bit easier actually because it's almost in 4 lights. Let's get this claw just here. Now this back section that's in. That's in a lot shallow. Again, we'll do the same. We'll blend the join in those sections and then just add a couple of little darker details. Great. Right, let's take a step back again, have a look. Yeah, okay, we're getting now. I think I might start to work on a little bit of the old leg tufts here. I'm going to keep it to neutral grey, but also, oop, that back in frame, there we go. Yeah, the neutral grey, but also white and a little touch of blue as well. I mean, the tiniest little dot of blue. And pop a little bit up here. So this is phthalo blue. And honestly, that's probably enough. And we will use the glazing liquid again. Right. Hello, Rachel Pacey. How are you doing? Nice to see you, my love. What have you been up to today? I'm guessing probably painting. Right. I've got neutral grey. I've got a touch of white. And a touch of blue. Oh, that's nice. A little bit more neutral grey. Good, good, good. Now we're going to go in with the glazing liquid. Excellent. Pop that all in there. Yeah, so as I was explaining to people earlier, we don't have music today because of stupid old YouTube. Right, let's define this in here, this shape. So we've got that weird bit just in there. This is all quite fluffy, even in this section. There we go. Again, nice and loose, illusion of detail. We're not worried about capturing every single feather or every little detail in there. We just want to get some in. And we will glaze over this later to knock it back. And a similar thing just here. So let's start at the bottom, work up. I mean, honestly, we could probably start getting in some of the neck ruffle as well, because she has got a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous neck ruffle, and we're not really doing anything with it at the moment. Not really paying too much heed. A little bit more down here. So we're starting to break away now from that monotone here. We're starting to get a little bit more adventurous with our colours. It's exactly what we want to do. So that looks very white, doesn't it? Doesn't that look very white compared to everything else that we've got on there? And that's the trick. It's in comparison to everything else that is on there. It's not white at all. Look, here's white, here's grey. It's, yeah, and it's got a touch of blue in there as well. Let's come up. Okay, I'm going to add a lot more glazing liquid into this. I want this very loose. Even going to add a touch of water. I don't want to destroy what we've already got on here. Okay, so this is so nerve-wracking. You have no idea. So can you see in like this section here where we've got the underpainting, this looks darker, this bit here looks darker than this here. That's because this has got a darker underpainting. Because we're glazing, we're still getting some of that colour come through, and it's tinting what's over the top. That's why we do underpainting. That's the importance of it. So interesting little like fluffy bits here just above these. I don't even know what to call it. Are there any biologists in the chat? Any bird enthusiasts that can tell me what these little sacs that the vulture has just here are? They've got to be for mating, right? I'm guessing that's exactly what it is. There's some kind of mating thing. I don't see any other explanation for it. Like their heads have very short feathers. That makes sense. That is because they're carrion feeders. So they feed on dead animals and they get their heads stuck right in to the carcasses. So having short feathers means that they're easier to clean themselves. Okay, let's do. Again, illusion of detail. We're not going for pixel perfect at all. Illusion, 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 always. So interesting, like sweep here and here down to that central there. Okay, yeah, that's working. There. Okay. We're looking good. Looking much, much better. I might just add a little bit of a flourish up here. Maybe a little bit of bring in. Can really define the shape of this neck now. Yeah, that's looking good. That is looking much better. Right. Now what I'm going to do is water this down even more. Just take a little tiny bit of it, more glazing liquid, a little bit of this. And we're going to define a little bit more on the head. So, let's start by defining the back of the head shape here. There we go. Glazing, glazing, glazing. Now we knocked back the shape of the head last time because we need to do a little bit of a correction, but actually that is looking good. She's got a little bit of a hump on the nose, just there. There we go. And a little bit just in here. Oh, I'm enjoying this. This is going nicely. This is going nicely. A little bit of that grey worked in there. Now, Okay, brilliant. A bit more up here, just like that. And then let's do a little bit just around her eye. So let's get a little bit of that in. A little bit of dot dot dot. And then a little bit of shine on the beak just here. And just in there. Right, now we take a step back, have a look. Okay, yeah, she's certainly getting there. We're certainly getting more detail in. One thing I haven't done yet is the additional background elements that I was going to do. So since we've got glazing liquid out already, let's get some of that in. I can kind of use a lot of the colours that I've already got here. Keep it harmonious. I do need a large brush like this. Right, bravery test, are we ready? You believe someone wants to describe me as Bob Ross mixed with a professional idiot. And that has been my persona, really, ever since. Apologies for having my back to the face cam where I get this blocked in. Here we go. I don't want drippy drippy. There we are. Much nicer. And then I'm going to blur the edges of this with my finger. This is an undefined, nondescript branch in the background. Actually, a lot of this is going to be covered as well. I'm putting some very blurred foliage back here. Oh, what's that? That's an Instagram. And that's something I've not got set up yet. I haven't set up to have my streaming to Instagram and Facebook. I will do that at some point because they're okay platforms, I guess. They're not the best. Oh, did I disappear? Did I? And now I'm back? What happened? I've been here the whole time. I've been live for an hour and 18. I'll have to check the VOD later because I've definitely been here the whole time. Look how much progress we've made since you were last here, because apparently you had to disappear for something, for some reason. You were not on camera when I clicked back. Oh, I see. Right. Yeah, no, I've been here chatting away, but I've been backwards and forth. I've been kind of coming over here, then taking a step back, looking at the progress that we've made, so I can kind of judge where we are. You're playing Minecraft at the same time as being on? Excuse me. I don't have your undivided attention. No, that's fine. Honestly, that's good. Yeah, I don't have music on this time, as I was trying to say, because of good old YouTube copyright strikes from spurious claims that were not true and yet still somehow managed to get upheld. Yoy. Might do a couple of... There we go. what I'm doing now is adding the illusion of like branches and stuff in the background, just as very loose abstract shapes, and I'm going to add a little bit of like a little bit of abstract foliage to it that's going to be really, really knocked back, but we'll just add a little bit of a frame to the whole thing. Master doesn't have flesh for me, so I must seek my... See, now you say that, people are going to think something's weird is going on. So I need to zoom out a little bit more. Let's... Oh, that way. There we are. Let's sort out the focus. There we go. What do you think, Drew? How are we looking so far on the painting? I've been adding more underpainting, more glazing, more sketching. I think it's going all right at the moment. What do you think? We need to get some green up in here. Majestic. Oh, that's very kind of you. And I've just broken a paintbrush. That's what happens when you buy cheap paintbrushes. Right, let's have a look at... That's too bright. That's way too bright. I want something that's a blue... Phthalocyanine green. Phthalocyanine green. Try saying that. Have I ever used this one? Apparently I have. Right, I'm going to put just a touch of that just here. And I'm going to mix that with the neutral grey and the glaze that we've had. Phallic cyanide green. Sure. Today we're painting our bushes with phallic cyanide green. Oh dear, some of that made it even worse. And again, I'm going to really water this down because I want to... This is like the undersketch for an undersketch, if you know what I mean. So up here, I'm just going to add, because of the white in here, it's coming through quite light, but that's absolutely fine. And we're going quite abstract, very loose, like this, and we will add more to this as we go. But now that we've got this in, I'm going to come back with a big dry brush. There. Now, you can barely see it. And that is exactly what I want. Because I'm going to come in later and we'll glaze over again with a slightly more saturated green. And it will give this like almost like a bokeh effect. So it will look like it's all just incredibly blurred in the background. It'll give that nice bit of distance. Right now it just looks like dirty smudges. What's this? I won £2 on £2 scratch card. Woo! I don't need you anymore. Well, £2 on £2 scratch card, you've broken even. So have you actually won anything? I'm not sure you have. Hello, Robbie, over on TikTok. I'm hoping you're my brother, Robbie. How are you doing? In fact, you know what? I could go in right now and add a little bit more of that green. Because it is so subtle, I think we can get away with it. I've got that. Let's clean this brush. So my brother, Rob, is a policeman. So if any of you are mean to me, he will come and arrest you. I've won my freedom and independence. No, no one's given you a sock. Get back under the stairs. Yes, Martha, so 2 right. Touch my water. There we go. Is anyone watching Doctor Who, up to date with what's going on? I am a bit of a Whovian. I've been enjoying the latest Russell T Davies offering. There we go. Can you see now that green's starting to build up a little bit? You can go in and add layers and layers. You can now bits of blue, bits of yellow. And be a little bit looser with these abstracted shapes. I like this part of painting because you really can just be a little bit more maverick. Right, let's add a little bit more. And blending. Oh, I've got this down here. There we go. So right now it looks like we've got slightly green dirty patches on the canvas. These will start to define more and we'll have well, more definition, more interest, more extra bits in there. Like I said, the issue with this glazing solution, the glazing liquid, is it also acts as a paint retardant. So it slows down the drying time, which is great if you want that. Unfortunately, I don't want that right now. What I want is for the paints to dry nice and quickly, but I don't think we're going to get that happening. My iPad switched off because I've spent too much time chatting, not enough time working. I think, let's have a little look. Let's flesh out this chest section. I actually do need a pink now. Let's see what I've got down here. I don't want like a nice bright red. What's this? It's a primary red. I'm looking for something a little different. What are you? You're cad. No. Your quinacridone magenta. I think if we do a bit of primer red, a bit of quinacridone magenta mixed together, that's probably going to give us that pinkish hue that we want for those little fleshy bits. I don't know what they are. I really don't know what they're called, and I'm ashamed of myself because I love wildlife and it feels like one of those things I should know, and it's probably somewhere in my brain, but right now it absolutely escapes me. Let's take a nice small brush. We'll do a little bit of mixy. Touch of water. sequin and primary and also white. And that is still very bright. Let's take a little bit of this just to mute that down a little bit more maybe. Much better. That feels much more in the colour scheme of the painting. Add some white to really dull it down, and then a little bit more of you to shift the tone. Yeah, I think that's probably right, but again, much less. Mix that with a little water. I like that acrylics are water-based, but part of me wants to give oils another go. I haven't used oils since school. I tried them at school and I'm terribly asthmatic, so I reacted really badly to the solvents. Fortunately, these days you can actually get water-based oils, and I just so happen to have a whole set of water-soluble oils in my stash of supplies waiting to be reviewed. Have I got round to using them yet? No. I've just been too busy with other stuff, but they're there. They are there, and I will definitely maybe review them. Definitely maybe. Okay. Oh, I've done it again. I've got my Crocs on and I keep kicking the easel. There we go. Look. My lovely blue Crocs. That feels better. Now if I'm going to try an experiment that I might regret. I'm going to take, got a little bit of red and I've got a little bit of the raw sienna. Is it raw sienna or raw umber? It's one of them. A raw paint. I'm going to come in and I'm going to start tampering with the eye. There we go. Just rub that section there. That feels good. Drew says, I've never painted with oils. Never painted with oils. They're very interesting. They've got a really nice creamy texture. They lay down really nicely. They blend beautifully. They're horribly toxic. So yeah, that's why I just don't anymore. I feel like those leaves actually need a little bit more of an injection of a yellow. Let's have a look what greens I've got that might work in that stead. Cad might be a bit too much. Bright yellow green. What do we think? That is quite bright. But if it's pushed back. Right, let's build. Let's build a painting, shall we? So what did I use there? I used the phallic one, didn't I? Oh, that's a nice blue. Do I have that? Deep green permanent. There we go. This has got a more blue base. We'll use this double brush technique again. One for applying, one for what thing. That's going to stick in your head now. Yeah, it is. Phallic something green. Thanks for that. Oh, that's building nicely. Do just a little bit of blendy, not a huge amount, because there are some nice shapes in there. Same here. There we go. Have you seen the size of these paintbrushes? I can't tell you the last time I had something that big in my mouth. Oh, don't take that out of context. Hello, Blue Velvo on TikTok. So this gives it a kind of almost Japanese feel. I feel very Bob Rossy today. I was saying earlier, someone once commented and said, "You're like Bob Ross if Bob Ross was a professional idiot." And that has honestly just stuck with me since. That's my whole professional profile. If Bob Ross was a professional idiot, that would be me. It's a lovely round brush, giving really nice textural shapes. And then just blending it back slightly with the other one. It's doing a lovely job. Yeah. Yeah, boy. And I think I'll sleep on it and come back and decide whether it needs any more. What do you think? Looking at it so far, how are we feeling? What do you think of the obstructive background? There we go. Nicer. You're not a professional idiot. Why am I not a professional idiot? I'm an amateur idiot. Is that what you're saying? I need a little down here. Okay. I'm liking maybe a little. Very careful. Lovely. Okay. That is feeling much better. These brushes are going to need a proper clean. Let me pop them in there for a minute. Right. How are we looking? How are we feeling? Let me just take a step back and evaluate. Better. Looking much, much better. Let's just get rid of those notifications. There we are. Yeah. I'm liking where this is heading. The legs still look very separate from everything else because I've not started working on any of the brown feathers yet. When they start coming in, it'll start looking a little bit more pulled together, a little bit more defined. But I'm liking where this is going. I am liking where this is going. The head's looking correct. The face is looking correct. The eye's getting there. The beak is the right shape. The pose and the posture, I think, is on point. We've got just enough detail in at the moment to sell the illusion of reality, and we'll carry on building up on that, but we're still keeping it nice and painterly. I think an hour and 42 minutes streaming and 11:15 at night, this is probably a good time to call this stream. I may stay up for a little bit and go and play some games with my friends over on the Sumpcraft server and just do a little bit there. I'll go and get a drink and stuff first and just stay out for a little bit. I do have an early start tomorrow, so it won't be a massively late one. But what are your thoughts? Hello. Ooh. Yeah, those of you that are watching painting, what are your thoughts on it? Yes, it is still very much a work in progress. But yeah, we've made good progress, and that's the important thing. I'm going to take a little picture of where we are at the moment. I like to do little progress updates so I can post this on social media and this is where we currently are with Harold the Vulture. So I'll post that on Instagram and everywhere later so people can see that. But I think for now, I'm going to call this here. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you. It's always lovely to have you around whilst I'm painting. If you didn't manage to catch me this time and you're catching up on a VOD, I don't really have a schedule at the moment. I will have a schedule going forward, so you'll be able to drop in at regular points. But I always post when I'm going live. So make sure you're following me on social media, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, all of that, and you'll be able to see when I'm actually going live. Thank you to your parents for making you. I'm not even going to go there. But yeah, make sure you follow me on socials. You'll be able to see when I'm going live. But for now, thank you very much, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.